Statistics tell us we lose muscle by 3 to 8% every decade after 30. Our testosterone and growth hormone levels go down. We have an increased risk of diabetes and insulin insensitivity as we age. On top of this, our bone mass declines and our joints get weaker, and we start to suffer from ailments like osteoarthritis. With all this working against us, how can anyone expect to build muscle over 50? Let's face it, if we can build muscle and continue to improve ourselves physically over 50, then why don't we have Olympic athletes over that age? Now, I'm not denying aging. It happens to all of us. But most of us have never trained like an Olympic athlete, bringing our bodies to their absolute peak physical condition, whether that be muscular or cardiovascular fitness. Something I want to make clear here is there's a big difference between the statistics of aging and optimal aging. When we work to build muscle and strength, we're not only improving how we look, but also how we age, and this positively affects our body composition, joints, bones, and hormones, allowing us to break free from the statistics. The older ones that stand to build the most muscle are the ones who are inactive and new to training or just getting back into it. No matter what your age, you need to apply progressive overload to your workouts, gradually lifting heavier over time. But something those of us over 50 have to keep in mind, and especially if we have sore joints or osteoarthritis, is that we might need to start out using lighter weights and training farther from failure than a younger person. You may have heard you need to train within 3 or 4 repetitions from failure to build muscle, with some even recommending training to failure on every set. This is the right range for best results if you're able. But if you have joint pain, you can train much lighter and farther from failure to start. To illustrate, in a study I talked about not too long ago, they had older adults with osteoarthritis train for 8 weeks with 60% of their 1-rep max, doing only 8 repetitions. That's about 12 away from failure. And yet at the end of the study, they reduced the amount of pain they felt, increased physical function, and muscle torque. All of this allows them to train heavier in the future. Another area that changes with age is nutrition. Improving our diet has a lot of health benefits, but it won't build muscle on its own. On the flip side, we won't build muscle if we're not providing our bodies with enough of the building blocks it needs to grow, and we get these from protein. As we age, we can suffer from anabolic resistance, which blunts our body's response to ingesting protein. A research paper published in Frontiers in Nutrition states that protein intake should be increased closer to 1.2 grams per kilogram per day for older adults. And this would be good for sedentary older ones. But for the hard training ones over 50, I'd recommend at least 1.72 grams. This paper adds an interesting finding that resistance exercise in particular seems to drastically increase the dietary amino acid sensitivity of older muscle to protein ingestion. They go on to suggest having protein post-workout as targeted exercise prior to protein ingestion has been shown to enhance dietary amino acid sensitivity of aging muscle, and that is a clear fountain of youth for muscle. When we begin resistance training as older adults, our bodies adapt and resensitize our muscle. Insulin insensitivity is another thing that can negatively affect muscle protein metabolism. They took a group with an average age of 70 and had them walk on a treadmill for 45 minutes, finding this was enough to restore the anabolic response of muscle proteins to insulin. This really illustrates the way an older, active, and hard training man's body functions can't be compared to the statistics of the average sedentary man. Even hormones like testosterone don't decline with age at the same rate in fit, healthy people as the average person. The Healthy Man study found men who were in excellent health over 40 had no decline in serum testosterone. Now you might say this video is about over 50, not over 40. Another study examined master athletes with an average age of 68 and found that long-term exercise decreased reaction time and increased VO2 max, testosterone, and growth hormone in elderly males. When we resistance train and strive to reach peak performance, we begin to age like master athletes who have an increased health span, reducing the number of years spent weak and frail. As I mentioned earlier in this video, to get the benefits of resistance training, we need to provide progressive overload, and adding weight is only one way to do this. Watch this video next to discover 12 different ways to provide progressive overload without lifting more weight, and keep working out while having fun. This is Lawrence from Fit and 50. We'll talk to you again in the next one.